In today's episode of the Knitting Podcast, I'm ranking my 10 hand knit sweaters from least favorite to most favorite and giving you a little bit of a pros and cons for each. So, if that sounds like just your cozy cup of, in my case, apple cider, then get comfortable and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Tayler, and I will be your host. It has been 2 weeks since I last posted a video. As many of you know, I took an intentional break to just unplug and kind of decompress from a lot of things that had been going on in the month of October, both with my life outside of the podcast and YouTube channel, but also with filming and putting content onto the YouTube channel. Taking a 2-week break was very muchly needed. And I am back now, and I'm so happy to be here in front of the camera to share some things with you guys. Now, there is going to be a little bit of chit chat before we get into the main reason for this video, which is me ranking my 10 hand knit sweaters. So if you would like to just jump right to the 10 hand knit sweaters being ranked, you can go ahead and skip to the timestamp that you see on the video here, and we'll get right into it. But for those of you that are my faithful viewers and know that I've been taking a break, I figured I'd give you just a little bit of a quick update. When I decided to take this planned break, it was about 2 weeks ago, and I had a lot of things coming up with my kids' school, and we were taking a trip to Virginia, which was last weekend, and I really wanted to have some time to prepare for the trip and then also to return home from the trip. And I had a lot of PTA things that I needed to do for my kids' school with a harvest festival carnival coming up, all of these different things that required my attention, in addition to Fiber for the People, which is my hand-dyed yarn business. In and amongst all of that, both my boys got sick. My oldest son had a really horrible ear infection a day and a half before, well, 2 days before we left to go to Virginia. And that was really frustrating right before leaving town. But he felt a lot better once we got in the air on our way to Virginia. He was on an antibiotic and it knocked it out pretty quickly. And then we were in Virginia to see some really good friends. Halloween party, visiting Williamsburg and Jamestown, and it was a great time. And then we came back that Monday, and that is when I picked up whatever it was that my boys had the week prior. You can probably tell in my voice, I'm getting over it. I feel so much better. But it didn't wipe me out, but it just, made me feel tired. It was a head cold, which just left me with a little bit of a raspy voice. But I feel far better than I sound. This husky, sexy, raspy voice thing kind of always accompanies colds for me, but we're doing better. So we're here. And last week was our busy week for the Harvest Festival at the kids' school. And finally, we're getting to a place that feels, for now, relatively normal. So we're getting back in the swing, and I'm back here. I've got new content planned coming for the month of November and December. And then over on Patreon as well, there's going to be new content coming over there. So all of that's coming, but I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much for all of your well wishes, happy send-offs for our vacation. You guys just make my day all the time. You mean so much to me, and I'm just really happy to be here with you guys today. All right, I want to get right into it. Now, I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. I have not been knitting very much. I've been kind of like, when I unplugged, and this is all very intentional, I unplugged from Instagram. I unplugged, well, to an extent. I have a business Instagram. I don't unplug from my inbox because I have to keep on top of emails, but I unplug from social media. I unplug from here, the channel. And I do that intentionally because it allows me to kind of ground myself in the responsibilities and things that I need to maintain outside of that social media and online presence. And so I did that. And I feel like with that came an opportunity for me to kind of detach myself from my knitting in a way. Just to give my hands a break, give everything just a break, and take up something else, occupy my time with something else. I picked up a fantastic book that I want to share with you guys in an episode down the road or over on the Patreon, but I picked up a fantastic book called Ordinary Monsters. You should definitely look into it if you're into fantasy, if you're a fan of Harry Potter, which I am a huge fan of Harry Potter, or I think it's Miss Peregrine's School for Unusual Children. I don't know. It's a book within that like realm. It's a fantastic book. So I picked that up, got really into that, and have just been stepping back and it's been great. And because of that, I don't have a lot of knitting progress to share with you, but I get a lot of requests from folks asking me to share my opinions and my thoughts on my hand knit sweater collection, ones that I've knit in the past, if I would knit them again, all of these kinds of things. That's actually one of my more requested videos, and I figure what better time to do that than now, and I can share with you things that I have knit to give you a little inspiration, give you a little insight, and allow me a little bit more time to catch up on some of those projects. So that's what we're going to get into now. So let's get started. Now, I have exactly 10 hand knit sweaters in my possession now. I have knit a few more than that, but I'll pop a few up on the screen that you can see. These were my very early attempts at knitting sweaters. I say attempt as if I'm trying to be overly humble. These were decent sweaters for first-time sweaters, and I think I only had two. But I don't have these sweaters anymore. I handed them down because they didn't fit me ideally. I didn't really love the colors, and there you go. But these are my 10 sweaters that are in my current hand knit sweater collection. And what I'm going to do is go through each of them and give a very brief kind of pros and cons about each, pop up a picture so you can see it, and then of course the design page from Ravelry. And of course one of those pictures will be a picture of me wearing the garment if I have it. I should have a picture of me wearing each of these things. So we're just going to go through that, and if you see something here, you're going to notice that there is one pattern in particular that I really, really like. I have 4 sweaters here that are that one particular pattern that I've modified in each particular instance, and I highly recommend this pattern. So we'll jump into it. No more chatter. Let's just get right down to business with my first sweater. So this is going to be my 10th ranked sweater. So we're ranking these from least favorite to most favorite. I love them all, but I'm just giving them a ranking right now. And the pros and the cons that I give you here have a lot more to do with the garment, things that I chose to do to the garment, or things that that went outside of what the pattern was recommending. So this in no way is telling you whether this is, I'm not speaking to the quality of the pattern. Each pattern that I knit to create these sweaters, where there was a pattern, because some of these are improvised by me. Each one where I knit from a pattern, the patterns were fantastic. That's why I have 10 very wearable sweaters here. Okay, so we're no more about that. We're gonna do ranking 10 to 1. So we're gonna begin with this sweater here. And this is my Kinnikin cardigan by Good Night Day. Now, I'm not going to throw every one of these on. I'm wearing a sweater. This is just a store-bought cashmere sweater I picked up at Anthropologie. Loving it right now. But this is a cardigan that I could essentially throw on over anything really, because of how billowy it is and the oversized shape. Now, this is a super bulky design. It requires super bulky yarn. And I did not use one strand of super bulky yarn. I paired yarns together to give me the gauge that I needed to complete the pattern. But this is the Kinnikin cardigan by Goodnight Day. It's kind of like a bolero style. Is that right? Bolero? Like a bolero jacket style cardigan. It's somewhat cropped. It has kind of like balloon sleeves. You'll see a picture of me wearing it here. And it's really a lovely cardigan. Now, I've made my notes here for pros and cons. Now, my pros for this. Number one, it's very easy to throw on. It's kind of like, I mean, it's just a real casual, no buttons or anything like that, no closures. Casual throw on layering piece that really kind of fits over anything that you might be wearing. If you're wearing a sweatshirt, like a hooded sweatshirt, and you wanted to throw something on, if you're wearing a sweater already and you just need an extra layer for warmth, it's pretty easy to throw it over anything, a dress, a t-shirt, what have you. It's super easy to throw on. And also that's because of my second pro here, is that it has this oversized fit. So it's pretty versatile in terms of fit. I believe the pattern only has 3 sizes, but that's because I believe that any particular size fits, I would say, 2 sizes on either side, meaning like you could be 2 sizes smaller or 2 sizes larger and still fit into any particular size. So it doesn't offer a wide range of sizes, but it is because of the shape and construction of the sweater. It's just kind of it's going to fit a range of body sizes, in my opinion. Obviously, I am only of one size, but from what I gather from other folks who have knit this, and you can see if you look at the project pages on this pattern, there are a variety of body shapes and sizes, and I think that it is a pretty versatile one for size. For cons for this, the first thing that I said here is color. Now that is a me thing. I chose the color for this. Now I knit this back, I want to say in 2018. My color preferences have kind of changed since then. Now, this is a combination of yarns. I knit this using a yarn, it's all fiber for the people yarn, which is my hand-dyed yarn business. The first one is a bulky weight, merino bulky in the colorway Whimsy, which is a really pale kind of pink speckled color. And then over the top of that, I did 2 strands of kid mohair silk in a saffron color. So you're getting this like pale pink color with this really lovely saffron orange over the top. And by itself in isolation, it's a really lovely color combination. I like it a lot. I just don't spring for a color like this for myself. I don't know. It's just not something that I really want to throw on all that often. It's not a wearable color in my opinion for me personally. So that's one of my cons. The next thing is going to be the heaviness of this garment because of the yarn that I chose here. This is not a structured garment. Intentionally, it's not designed to be structured. It's designed to be easy to throw over and just kind of a really wearable, cozy piece with an oversized fit. The yarn that I used here, however, which is a 100% superwash merino bulky weight yarn and 2 strands of kid mohair silk, all of those together make this a heavy garment. And I think that that weight kind of just causes this overall not a very structured piece to droop. And I just don't think that it works in the favor of the design. And I wish it were lighter weight. If I were to knit this again, I would knit this with a much more airy, floofy yarn, not even necessarily floofy, but just something much more airy and lightweight, maybe something woolen spun. This is just a little bit too heavy. And that is really all I kind of have in terms of cons for this sweater. So again, this is the Kinnikin cardigan by Goodnight Day, and I am ranking this at number 10 in my 10 hand knit sweaters. Okay, this is the Felix number 3. Now this is the Felix sweater by Amy Christophers, my favorite just sweater pattern at the moment. It's my top sweater pattern. If I was on a deserted island and I could only ever knit one sweater, it would be the Felix sweater by Amy Christophers. It's just a fantastic design for beginner knitters, advanced knitters, anybody. It's just a really lovely comfort knitting pattern in my opinion. This is the 3rd Felix sweater that I ever knit. And I love it for a lot of reasons. And it's not my favorite for a couple of reasons. Now, this one I modified from the original pattern in a couple of ways. And I list all of my modifications over on my Ravelry page for most of these Felixes that I'm going to share with you here. This one, I knit to have a more cropped sleeve, and I will show you what this looks like on me in a photo. It has a little bit more of a cropped sleeve, 3/4 length sleeve. There is no sleeve shaping, so you have a really nice balloon sleeve and a nice kind of narrowed, what do you call it? A rapid decrease at the end here, so your cuff is a little bit more narrow. And then it's somewhat cropped, very little. It's not even, I don't even know how much of a difference it is, but it is somewhat cropped. I love this sweater, but it's not on the top of my list. And the reason why, first of all, let's talk about the pros. My first pro is this color. I love this. I am using Plotalopi here in an oatmeal colorway. So Plotalopi is an unspun pencil roving yarn by Istex. And I love it. It's super lightweight. It's unspun, so you have to kind of pair it with something to kind of give it that durability, if you will. But I love it. It's this really lovely oatmeal color. And paired with that is a skein of Fiber for the People Kid Mohair Silk in the Kick Drum colorway, which is this real kind of dark navy with a pop of like multiple colors. And it gives it this kind of lovely, you're going to hear me say lovely a lot, so, just go with it. Newsprint effect here. Let me get up so you can see all the little pops of color. How cool is that? It's really pretty. So the color, I love the color. I love the shape. I think I put on here, yeah, I love the shape of this. I love how it's kind of boxy, and I love the sleeve shape and length. It just works. It's super wearable. I love it. The things that the hangups that I have with this. The first is the weight. Now, where I said that this sweater was heavy because of the yarn combination, this sweater, in my opinion, is not heavy enough. I paired one strand, I believe it was one strand. Yeah, I believe it was one strand of Platelope. Yeah. Yeah, this is one strand of Platelope with one strand of kid mohair silk. Platelope is light, light, light. It's like a cloud. It's so light. Now, it's not like a cloud in that it's very soft. It's like a cloud in that it's very light. And this paired with the kid mohair silk is just not heavy enough to make the sweater feel like it's resting on you. Like you don't feel like it's draping over your shoulders. You get this feeling that it's like sitting on your body. And it's very nice. It's lightweight, so it's not super hot, but it's just not, I don't know, like what I have here, it kind of drapes over your shoulders. And this might be exactly what somebody is looking for, something that feels much more lightweight. And if that is what you're looking for, a strand of Platelope with a strand of mohair is really an excellent choice. It's very lightweight. But for me, it was just a little too lightweight. The other thing about it is that, okay, this is again unspun Icelandic wool yarn and then a pairing of mohair and silk. It's scratchy. The nature of Platelope, and you can see it here, you can see those long fibers coming off of the sweater. That's part of the Icelandic wool, just very long, hairy fibers. And all of that kind of prickles. And my skin is pretty sad. I'm not allergic to it, but I'm just very sensitive. It's scratchy, in my opinion. Or prickly might be the better word. It's not soft. It's not, soft like this or like this. It's kind of prickly. And so if I wear this, I have to wear something under it. So I just wish it were a little bit softer. But again, I knew that going in. I knew that as soon as I started knitting this, that it wasn't going to be super soft. And I was going to do it anyway because I loved so many other aspects of this sweater. So that's just, one little thing. I don't even know if I would change it. Well, I mean, I guess if I could just snap my fingers and change it, I would, but it's a small thing, but it is one of the cons of this sweater. And honestly, I really think that's kind of it in terms of cons, the weight and the texture of the sweater. Other than that, it's a really lovely sweater. I love to wear it. It goes with everything because of the color. It looks nice over like a plain white t-shirt. Even if I had like a long sleeve t-shirt where the shirt kind of peeked out underneath the sleeves here, it would look really nice. So finding something to wear under it so that it is more comfortable is really not an issue. So yeah, I'm loving this. So this is my Felix number 3. This was the third one that I knit, and it is number 9 in my ranking. Okay, this next one this is such a cute sweater. I really do love this sweater a lot. This is called the Tulip Jumper by Melody Hoffman. Now, if you've been watching the channel, you know how much I love Melody Hoffman, and you know how much I love this sweater. There's a lot of reasons I love it, but just look at it. It's got this cute little tulip shaped hemline down here. I'll pop some pictures up so you can see. I have a whole little kind of finished object video that I created, like a vlog. It's really lovely. It's very short, but it's just where I did a photo shoot for this. It's kind of a vlog of that photo shoot. You should definitely watch it if you're interested in the sweater. It's also just a nice little relaxing vlog. But I love the sweater. I love the design. I love the shape. It does have a little bit of a cropped shape to it, but it's really very sweet and very wearable, and it fits nicely. The pros that I have listed for this are kind of just what I said, but the first thing is the shape and then the unique style of the sweater, which kind of includes this tulip hemline down at the bottom. The cons of the sweater are the color and the texture. As much as I like, I don't know, like it looks nice against my skin. I think the color looks nice on me. But for whatever reason, when it comes to like throwing a sweater on, I don't think about this color as just an easy throw on. But maybe that's a matter of me just rethinking it, because I see it here and I think, yeah, like this would look good over any pants that I have, a pair of jeans, whatever. Like this is pretty easy to pull off. So I don't even know if the color is all that much of a hang up. You can let me know what you think. But this is knit using Hillesvåg Tinda, which is a sport DK weight Norwegian wool yarn in a lovely kind of rosy mauve color. And you can see that under there, but it's also paired with this really lovely espresso bean or coffee bean, whatever, mohair color with it, which is giving it that brown undertone. And the two together really do kind of give it a nice neutral boost. Yeah, I don't know. And it's really lovely. I love that marled look. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm changing my mind about this. This may have taken a higher position in my ranking if I thought more about it. But it's just not a color that I spring for all that much. I don't really know. But I do really love the design. I love the design. I loved the pattern. I loved knitting it. The cons that I have, though, that stand out most to me, besides the color, is going to be the texture. Much like my Felix #3, this Hillesvåg Tinda yarn, it's a Norwegian wool, and similar to Icelandic wool, it is coarse. It is not a super fine, it's not a fine wool at all. And it is a little bit more coarse to the hand, a little bit more prickly. And even pairing it with the mohair and the silk, it just doesn't soften that up enough to make it something that you reach for in your sweater collection and think, ooh, I want to throw this on to my bare skin like right now. You kind of feel like, I'm going to wear this, but I know I'm probably going to need to put something under it. And it is really warm for that reason as well. It is more densely knit than this one, so the weight is definitely heavier. So it's a very warm sweater, which is great because it means that I can wear this in the colder days here that we experience without having to have outerwear. But it's just, it's not super soft. So that would be, that's I guess what my only real major con is for this. Actually, no, it's not. I added here the neckline. Oh yes, I think I've talked about this before. Yeah, I think I have. Okay, so this neckline, there's nothing wrong with the neckline in general. I tend to not love really wide necklines. This one, when I wear it though, it kind of just looks like a boat neck, so it's totally nice looking. But my preference is, a much more narrow neckline, this little like funnel neck that I have here. I really love something like that. So I'm more drawn to a more narrow neckline, which is kind of funny because the Felix pullover, which is the pattern I love the most, it doesn't really have a really narrow neckline, but it's easy to modify that. But yeah, so I guess that's the only other con that I have here. But some of us really love those wide necklines. So, it's all just a matter of preference. But that is the Tulip Jumper by Melody Hoffman. Really love the pattern. I love working from her patterns. They're just so easy to follow. And this is a super easy jumper. If you want a lovely top-down raglan sleeve sweater, if you're a relatively new knitter to sweaters or knitter of sweaters, this is a really good one to try. It's just a fantastic pattern overall. Okay, this next one is a fan favorite and one of my favorites. And this is the Magnolia Bloom by Camilla Vod. Oh, you guys, this sweater, it's just sumptuous, this sweater. I love this sweater so much for a few different reasons. And there's actually only one real thing about this sweater that gives me a little bit of a hang up. But other than that, I just absolutely love this sweater. I love the gorgeous color. We're just getting right into those pros. I mean, look at that gorgeous green color. This is Fiber for the People yarn in the Endor colorway. And I'm using here a merino single DK weight yarn with a strand of Surrey Silky with it, which is Surrey and silk. Oh, it is so beautiful. Oh, the sweater is so soft. It's like butter. Honestly, it's the softest thing. I also really love the neckline here. I mean, look at that neckline. It's a rolled over neckline. The way that you do that in this pattern is really very simple and intuitive. It's easy, nothing fussy. It's just fantastic. Oh, gosh, you guys, look at this. It's so beautiful. I love the design. I love the shape of this sweater. I love the style. Those are all of my pros for this sweater. It's just such a lovely, lovely sweater. My only real con about this, and the only thing that makes this not any more wearable than it is, are the baubles. I think baubles look so pretty. I look at myself with this and I think I love those baubles. How pretty are those baubles? But for whatever reason, I don't reach for it as much as I should during the winter because I always feel like the baubles are too festive for everyday wear. Like this makes an ideal Christmas or New Year's sweater, but if I wanted to just throw it on to go get coffee on the weekend, I make it sound like I do that all the time. I have 2 children. I don't do that all the time. A lady can dream. But if I throw this on to like go run errands on the weekend or something like that, or even to go like volunteer at my kid's school, I feel like the baubles just it's like too festive. Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I might be overthinking the baubles, but honestly, it was so hard for me to come up with a con for this sweater. And if I had to come up with anything, the baubles were the only thing I could really find. So if that's any indication, then this is definitely a great sweater. If you're not a fan of baubles, here's a tip. Just don't do them. This sweater and that lace motif would be fine without baubles. You don't have to do them. I just did them and whatever. I would absolutely 100% knit this again. And I feel like if I knit it again, I probably would still do the baubles. Maybe if I did it in like a gray color, it would seem like what the sample shows, it would seem less festive. I don't know. And then I would probably knit it another time after that with no bobbles because of how much I love this sweater. It's so lovely. And I get a lot of compliments on it when I wear it. So that is the Magnolia Bloom sweater by Camilla Vaude. This is my, what am I? Yeah, I'm at 7 now. This is number 7 in my list. Ugh, and you guys, and the Surrey yarn, if you've only ever knit with mohair, Surrey is lovely. And if you can knit with alpaca, it's lovely. It's like butter. If you can't knit with mohair, if you're allergic to it or it's just too prickly for you, Surrey's a really good way to go. It's much more matte than mohair. It doesn't really have that luster, but it's such a sumptuous alternative. So this is a fantastic sweater. I love it. Okay, we're moving on to number 6. Now, for number 6, it's my Felix pullover, number 2. This is the second Felix pullover that I ever knit. I'll pop a picture up here. I'm actually going to pop up a couple of pictures because if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that this was not always this color. And in fact, there is a video which is only available through Patreon right now that shows the process that I followed to over dye this sweater. So originally, this sweater was the color that you see here, kind of a very neutral brown, variegated color. And I went through a whole process to over dye it this really lovely kind of cidery apple red color that I love so much. Also, you'll notice that this is not what a typical Felix pullover looks like. It is heavily cropped and it has no sleeves. And I can't remember exactly why I chose to go that route. I think it had something to do with maybe yarn constraints. Maybe I didn't have enough, or it just got to a point where I thought it looked really cute and I wanted to finish it off. And I'm happy that I did because it is a really cute piece. And that's another thing about the Felix pullover. It's just so easy to modify to make it your own. And I love it. So this is, Felix pullover, Amy Christopher's. I did hear a twisted rib for both the hem and the neckline to tighten it up, give it a little bit more structure. And I really love the way that that looks. Instead of, and I have all of these modifications listed on my Ravelry page, instead of doing sleeves, I just did my, I added stitches for my underarm and then I bound off. There's no length here to speak of. This is just a little cap that goes over the shoulder. It's really cute. And then it's really cropped. I kind of have to wear this with something underneath it, unless I'm wearing like rib cage height jeans, and then I could pull it off. But I love it. It's really great. So what I have here for my pros, I love the color. I love the color now after over dyeing it. I love the texture. It is a 100% organic merino worsted weight yarn, fiber for the people. The original color was a colorway called Deciduous, and then this is obviously just something that has been over dyed. I love the yoke shape of this particular sweater, and that's just for all Felixes in general, but the way that it kind of looks in this cropped version is just very flattering. I'm just really loving that. And then I love the style. If I had to give any cons to this, really honestly, it would just be how cropped it is. If it were maybe an inch longer, I could wear it without having to put something under it far more often. But just that little bit more crop that I have there makes it a little bit more difficult to find things to wear it with. But other than that, I love this sweater. I love it in this weight of yarn. It's a little bit more dense than some of my others, and I like that for a nice crop sweater. So that is another version of the Felix pullover by Amy Christopher's. Okay, this is a recent finished object, like quite recent. This, and it's gonna be hard to show you the details, so let's rely on the photos here. But this is what I'm calling my little black tee. This is a pattern that I completely improvised. There's no written pattern to go with this. Everything I did here, I just kind of improvised from other little things that I've done in other patterns, but ultimately this is just a Franken pattern for a knit tee. I am not writing the pattern for this, and it's just improvised. But it's just a little black t-shirt, very similar to that Felix pullover that I showed you before. It's cropped, but not as cropped as that Felix pullover. It has cap sleeves, just like the Felix pullover does. There's really no length to the sleeves here. It has a really nice high and tight neckline, a nice crew neckline there. It's lovely. My pros for this, I'm going to pop the pictures up so you can see. It's just very hard. It's very dark. My pros for this are the fit, the shape, the details. You'll notice along the neck there's a pearl bump, a little ridge of pearl bumps to give it a little nice crisp detail there. That same pearl bump is down at the bottom on the hemline of the sweater. I love little details like that, especially with something that's very classic and like black like this. I love the yarn here. This is a yarn I picked up on Amazon. It's called About Strings, and it's a it's cotton merino, and it's a DK weight yarn. So it's an untreated merino and cotton yarn, soft and supple. It doesn't feel too cottony and it doesn't feel too woolly. It's very wearable and warm, but not too warm. It's just an ideal in between yarn. And the stitch definition is just phenomenal. I think I could probably show you that if I get up close enough. Yeah, you can kind of see, and you can also see the detailing along the raglan there. It's so pretty. Yeah, so those are my pros for this for sure. The only con that I have for this is that everything sticks to it, and because it's black, you see it. So you have to be using a lint roller with this like all the time. Like even now, if I put, I mean, you could probably see. Like you can just see all the little fuzzy things that are stuck to it. I don't think you notice it as much. But yeah, everything sticks to it. Like what is that? Especially if you have it in a drawer with other sweaters, all those little fibers are going to stick to it. But that's really honestly my only con for this. It's just a really fantastic t-shirt sweater and I love it. And it's very easy to wear it with lots of different things because it's a classic shape and it's black. So it just goes with everything. It fits my style and my wardrobe like to a T. Okay, this next sweater is, I love this. And if you've been watching the podcast for any length of time, at least, like 8 to 10 months, you remember my Franken sweater saga. That was where I was improvising a top-down sweater and kind of having quite the experience doing that. And I ended up calling it my Franken sweater. And so this is that. This is a completely improvised design. I use a few elements from a few of the different sweaters that I've knit in the past. For example, the neckline of this sweater was pulled very much inspired by the neckline of the magnolia bloom. Some of the shaping was inspired by my no frills sweater, but all of it was very much pieced together in kind of a Frankenstein, if you will, way. And that's this. Let me make sure I have this right side, front and back. Okay, so there it is, my Franken sweater. And it's just a really lovely throw on, somewhat oversized, not too oversized, top down raglan sweater. The sleeves are straight. There's no decreasing or shaping here. There's just actually a rapid decrease right at the end, giving it this really nice kind of bell shape you have down here. It has some nice deep armholes to give it a really cozy feel, a boxy shape, and the yarn that I'm using here is lovely. This is Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool. You can kind of see that. What is the ice cream that we were talking about when we were trying to come up with a name for this? Oh, Stracciatella ice cream, I believe, which is, well, it's a gelato, and it kind of has that coloring in there. I love it. And I paired it with a single strand of undyed Surrey silk yarn. And it's really very beautiful. This kind of knits up to an Aran weight, maybe a light chunky weight gauge. So it's very thick and warm. In terms of my pros for this, the pros are the yarn pairing. I love the yarn pairing. I love the yarn for this. I really love the shape. I love how cozy it is, though that's kind of going to give me like, or the reason I feel like it's so cozy is that roominess. I love the neckline that I did here to give it a little bit of a kind of an Audrey Hepburn vibe with a little bit of that funnel neck look. I love how wearable it is. It's an easy throw over anything sweater if you just want to be cozy around a campfire or you're going to go walk the dog in the evening time when it's a little chilly. It's just a really cozy sweater. And honestly, the only con I have for this is that it's just very warm. It's not something I can wear that often in the winter time. And I don't know. I mean, it gets quite cold here, so it could be worn as my only, kind of upper body garment because it's warm enough to just keep me warm in the colder days and evenings here. So it's not something I can throw on as often. But that's really the only con I could come up with, and it's not even a great con because it's not so not wearable. It was the only thing I could come up with. Otherwise, I just completely love it through and through. It's such a fantastic sweater. And I really love that yarn pairing. If you have some Surrey in your stash, pairing it with Fisherman's Wool by Lion Brand is fantastic. You guys know how much I love Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool. So that is my Franken sweater, and that is ranking right now at number 4 in all of my hand knit sweaters. Okay, this next one is another Felix pullover. I told you, it's one of my favorites. This was the first Felix pullover I ever knit, and it's funny because when I look at it, there are just some things, some things that were done as just like, it was one of my early sweaters. And I haven't been knitting sweaters for very long. So this was 2018, I want to say. So it's one of my earlier sweaters. Now, it's going to be very dark because this is another one that in that same video where I overdyed this cropped Felix, I also overdyed this. It used to be this lovely, dusty, purpley pink color. I say lovely, it's lovely in general. It's not my favorite color. And so I wanted to overdye it into something that was just much more wearable. And I thought navy blue would be fantastic. So I just dyed it this really lovely, rich navy blue color. And I absolutely love it. So this is a Felix pullover with no intentional modifications. However, well, no, that's not true. I did intentionally do twisted ribbing for the cuffs and twisted ribbing for the hem and the neckline. But the only other thing that is different here, and this is one of my cons, is the armhole depth is way too deep. I don't know what I was doing and why I made it so deep, but it's too deep for the shape of this particular sweater. So when I hold my arms up, it kind of pulls the body of the sweater up too much. It's not it's not something that gets in the way of me wearing this. It's just something I notice. I know it's a mistake. So, more than anything, it's just, I know it's there, but it doesn't make me not want to wear it. But other than that, that's pretty much kind of my cons for this. My pros for this are the color, the shape, the fit, and the yarn. This is, again, Fiber for the People yarn. I knit this using the organic merino worsted. So it's a worsted weight organic yarn. And I paired it with a mohair strand to give it that halo. And it's lovely. It's got this fantastic drape. It's got some weight to it. It's just, yeah, it's really nice. It's very luxe. Anytime I've worn this, even prior to dyeing it, I get lots of compliments on how luxurious it looks. And just kind of, I think people are kind of alluding to the fact that it looks expensive, and that's a fantastic compliment, especially when you spend a lot of time or take a lot of time to knit the piece. That's a nice compliment to hear. So this is Felix sweater number 1, the first one I ever knit. Definitely wasn't the last, nor are any of these the last, if I'm honest. And this is ranking at number 3 on my list of hand knit sweaters. Okay, surprise, surprise. If you're doing the math, we have one more Felix to go, and that is this one here because I have 4, and we are down now to Felix number 4. This was the 4th Felix that I've ever knit. This is it is my most recent Felix. I completed this about a year ago, and I love this one. I'm not going to talk all about the pattern all that much since I've done it already now 4 other times or 3 other times. But there's a couple of things about this one, now that I'm looking at it here. The armhole depth on this one looks very similar to the armhole depth on this one that I thought was a mistake. But for whatever reason, it's not as deep on this one. I know that for sure, but it kind of just looks like that. I don't know. It's strange, but I love this. So this is done pretty much to spec, except again, I did a twisted rib. Wait, no, I didn't. So I did not do any twisted rib. I just did a regular 1x1, and I prefer that. I prefer that here, to be honest. A 1x1 for the sleeves, for the collar, and for the hem at the bottom. Everything is pretty much knit to spec, except the sleeves are not shaped. These sleeves are just knit straight with a rapid decrease at the bottom, and I love that. I love the color. It's like a really beautiful, like kind of ochre olive color. It's so pretty. I feel like it looks pretty good with my coloring. Here, I'm holding it like cockeyed. Oh, so lovely. Really soft. This is also using that merino worsted, organic merino worsted with a strand of mohair. There is a little bit of pilling that's happening from the mohair, but it's nothing significant, and I've worn this an awful lot. Actually, all of these have been worn quite a bit, and the pilling is minimal to almost non-existent on most of them. And anything that is there is pretty typical, and a gleaner or kind of like a sweater shaver does the trick. But this one is not, it's really not that much at all, but it does shed. It does shed a little bit. So that's something to be cognizant of when you're using mohair yarn, but it's not too much of an issue. So this is my most recent Felix. Very wearable, knit pretty much to spec except for the sleeves. There's no shaping here, and I love it. My pros for this one in particular are the color, the yarn, shape, fit, sleeve shape. I just love that bell kind of shape at the bottom, and I have no cons. I honestly don't even know. There's nothing here that I don't like. Oh, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. This is, okay, this goes for all of the Felix pullovers, in fact. And it's, again, it's not a pattern thing, it's a me thing. For whatever reason, every time I knit this sweater, one of these eyelet sections that you see going along the raglan, one of them is always messed up. Like I mess up one of those little kind of V shape, upside down V shapes. I can't remember. It's so, you can't even really notice it. Like I'd have to sit here and find it. It's hard to notice, but every single time. The only time, oh, I didn't mention that, but this Felix, the Plot Eloping newsprint colored Felix, I did not do those. And I forgot to mention that. There are no eyelet details down the raglan on that one, but all the other ones do have it. And for whatever reason, every time I do it, yeah, this one, there's always one that's messed up. I'm not even going to show you because it doesn't matter. But other than that, there's no cons. I just absolutely love this sweater. I can't wait for it to get cold enough for me to wear it. It's just such a classic looking sweater, and it goes with everything, especially in that color. Okay, last but certainly not least is a sweater I have worn so many times. I get so many compliments on it. When I tell people that I made this sweater, it always kind of blows their mind. I love this sweater, and I want to knit more of this particular sweater. It's fantastic. And that is my No Frills sweater by Petite Knit. This was a sweater I started knitting it in 2019 and I finished it in 2021, because I kind of set it down for a while. And I've talked about this before, and I'm not going to tell you to go back and try to find that video, but I will say that this is a pattern and a yarn weight that just takes time. And just like anything that takes time, sometimes that can seem like a slog, but the process is really lovely. The pattern is it's simple. It's relatively easy for beginner knitters, but it takes some time because you're working with a DK weight yarn here with a really nice, I don't want to say like too dense, but a dense fabric, which really only contributes to its fantastic shape and style. So it does take some time. But I really, really love it. I wear this sweater when it cools down, gets cold. I wear it all the time. I love the color. So we're going to start talking about the pros. I love the color. I love the shape and the style. It's just a classic crew neck top-down sweater. I love the yarn pairing here. This is Fiber for the People yarn. Kid Mohair Silk in the Air Glow colorway, and Merino Nylon 2-ply in the Sapphire colorway. It's really just a special combination. It looks fantastic. I really, 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 really love it. And honestly, when it comes to cons, I put here none, and I really don't have any. The only thing, if I had to give it any kind of a con, is the yarn. I think the mohair just pills a little bit on this one, but you guys, I have worn the dickens out of this sweater, and I have not. Maybe you'll think this is gross. I don't think this is gross because I understand how sweaters and wool tend to work, but I have not washed it. I just don't judge, okay? Just don't judge. It doesn't smell bad. It smells amazing, actually. It smells like a wool sweater should. I've worn it so much, and the only pilling that I really have is just right down here on the bottom of the sleeve. You maybe can make it out, but that's really it, and I think that's great. So I don't have any cons. This is just such a fantastic sweater. And anytime I've seen somebody make this sweater, for the most part, actually, I can't think of a time I've seen a sweater, no frills made, that I didn't think it just looked fantastic on that person. All shapes, sizes, it doesn't matter who you are. It just is a fantastic looking sweater, man or woman. It's just a great sweater. And I love it. I absolutely Love it. I will definitely be knitting another sweater like this, something in a solid color for sure. I love the variegated color here. However, I'm just much more drawn to solid colors these days in this era of my life. But this, because it is dark and because the variegation is pretty much all over, that you can see that there's some tonal shifts in there, and some color splashing. But other than that, it is a pretty wearable combination of colors. It's just really cool looking. And I love this. So if you have not knit a no frills and you want something that's just real classic, got a really nice neckline, I highly recommend the no frills sweater. It's fantastic. I love petite knit, you know that. And this is just no exception. I love it. So this is my no frills sweater, and this is my number one, not only favorite, but most worn sweater in my collection. Having it here now, looking at it, again, I cannot wait till the weather here really cools down where I can wear all of these. You know, some more than others, but all of them for the most part. I just absolutely love all of them. No frills is my top favorite of all of these sweaters, but my favorite pattern, the one that I always think about knitting when I have a particular weight of yarn en masse, is the Felix pullover for sure. So if I had to give you my general recommendation for which of these to go out and get, buy, acquire right now, it would be the Felix pullover. If I had to recommend for you a design that's going to give you a sweater you will wear the dickens out of, it would be the No Frills by Petite Knit. It's just fabulous. Well, that's it, folks. Those are my 10 hand knit sweaters that I have in my wardrobe, ranked from least favorite to most favorite. I hope you took some inspiration away from that or found a sweater pattern that you are inspired to give a try. This has been a lot of fun. This is kind of a nice way to get right back into filming videos for you guys. Nothing too complex, really chill. And it's always fun to dig my sweaters out, fondle them, and share them with y'all. If you took value or enjoyed yourself at any point during this video, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime new content comes down the pipe here on the channel. The next video will be coming to you Wednesday, which is the midweek ramble. Also, if you would like to help support the Wool Needles Hands channel here on YouTube, definitely check out the Patreon, which is linked down below the video. There is always new monthly content dropping over there. You do not have to be a paying member to join the Patreon. There will also be content coming for free members as well. But additional video content, blog posts, audio blogs, and all of that are available to paying patrons over there. So definitely head over and check it out. In the meantime, and until we meet again, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.